In Mexico, truth can cost more than life. Some stories never reach the headlines. They vanish before sunrise. This is the last voice of a man who tried to tell the truth and left behind a recording the world was never meant to hear. My name is Raúl Hernández, and this is my final report. If you're listening to this, then I did not make it back. My name is Raúl Hernández. I was a reporter in Culiacán for 12 years. I told stories most people wanted hidden. I printed names, followed money, and wrote about things that make polite people look away. This is not a story with a comeback. This is not the version people like to hear where the brave reporter outruns fate. This is the truth I have to leave for whoever finds these words. The trouble started small. A whisper, a phone call. A man who smiled too long at a cafe. At first it was threats on the phone. Anonymous numbers that hang up after breathing heavy into the line. We learned to call them checks. They were not loud. They were precise. They existed to remind you that someone is counting your mistakes. I had been working on the corruption thread for months. Municipal contracts, a shadow company that won every tender, and a politician who smiled while men with guns watched the meetings. I had documents, I had witnesses. I filed pieces quietly, each one a stone dropped into a deep water. Then one night at 11:12 p.m., a call that sounded like it came through wind and broken glass. A voice I had learned to recognize by its cold boredom. "Señor Hernández, stop writing. You still have a family, don't you?" It was not a shout. It was a statement that carried the weight of consequence. I did not stop. Maybe I was stupid. Maybe I thought exposing it would be my shield. I put the last draft on a flash drive and handed it to a friend who agreed to send it, abroad if anything happened to me. I left instructions, hide this, send it, publish it. It felt like preparing a small grave for my work. The calls grew more frequent, and their rhythm changed, and not for me only, but across town. Others I knew got similar warnings. A photographer who took too many pictures of armored trucks vanished with his camera. A blogger's account was erased overnight. He surfaced 3 months later in another state, mute and hollow-eyed. I bought a one-way ticket to a border town. I changed phones. I did not post updates. I slept in motels with a window that could be barricaded. I watched mirrors the way you watch storms. But fear is a parasite. It stays in your bones. 2 days before this recording, an old colleague told me to disappear properly, leave the city, never call anyone, never come back. He had seen worse. He had seen silence swallow people whole. But I could not run forever. Someone had to hold on to that thread of truth. The morning it happened, I waited for dawn like a verdict. The men who came were not loud either. They have a way of moving that fills space, quiet cars, faces that seem like everyone else's unless you know them. They asked questions that were not questions. They knocked and then stepped inside as if the house had always invited them. They took my notes. They took my laptop. They took the flash drive I had thought would outlive me. They left a warning folded under my shirt, a phrase, a name, a number meant to be remembered. I remember the weight of the paper more than the words now. I tried to bargain. I offered things I had, names, places, small favors I could no longer keep. They listened like accountants. They counted my answers and found them lacking. Afterwards, I ran. I went to a friend's house, then to another, and then to a bus that smelled of diesel and old bread. I tried to burn my notes. Ink does not melt from guilt, it sticks. I wrapped what was left and handed it to a woman who promised to send the rest overseas. Her hand shook the way mine did the night I put the draft into her palm. I know what comes next. I know the nights when people knock and do not leave. I know the funerals that say nothing, the official statements that say under investigation. Know too well how silence gets marketed as closure. This is the last thing I can do in my name, speak plainly. If you are a reporter, be careful. If you are someone who thinks the truth is a weapon, remember how many hands it cuts. If you are listening because you want to help, look for the flash drive, the friend, the woman who promised. That small detail may be the only thing that keeps the story alive. I do not ask for pity. I ask for memory. Tell them the names that the paper could not print. Tell them the dates. Tell them who knocked and when. If my voice disappears in the middle of the night, let it not be because my words were swallowed without record. If there is a lesson here, it is small and bitter. Speaking the truth can be a sentence. Living with that sentence is an act of endurance. Sometimes the cost is your life, and sometimes the cost is your silence. I did not choose silence. I chose to write. If you find this recording, please send the files. Publish the article under another name. Let the truth travel. This is Raúl Hernández. If I am gone, remember that the story did not die with me.